There's something really sad about a life that was never lived to its fruition, a life that never accomplished what it was intended to accomplish, a life that really didn't fulfill its purpose and its calling and its reason for existence. And as I think about our lives, I think about the fact that not only do we have intentions with our lives, but we need to have the ability to fulfill those intentions and to fulfill the purpose that God has given us. There's nothing more sad than an idea that doesn't come to fruition. Every entrepreneur that feels like they have an idea are only worth what they are because they execute that idea. Every visionary not only has goals, but has the ability to execute those goals. Every father and mother as parents not only has intentions to raise up a child in the way that child should go, but has to execute and engage with their children and help their children along that journey. Every pastor, every teacher, every CEO, every business person not only needs to have intentions that are good, but needs to back those intentions up with a life that fulfills its calling. In 1996, there was a building in Bangkok, Thailand that was supposed to be built, and it was designed by this Dutch architect, and this Dutch architect wanted this building to be a literal urban sprawl there in the capital city of Thailand, and it was a hyper building that was intended to house 120,000 people in 3% of the space that it would usually take to house that many people. And it was supposed to mix in green spaces and workplaces, and because of the integration of this entire community that it intended to house, it was going to cut down commute times and fulfill green emission things that they wanted to do. And it was just going to be a good building in Bangkok, Thailand, but it was never built. In 1957, you could go with me in your mind to Chicago, Illinois, where they intended to build a tower. There was an architect by the name of Frank Lloyd Wright who intended to build this tower 1 mile high, and it was supposed to house 100,000 people. And in order for the people to get to their houses and their apartments 1 mile high, there were intentions for there to be atomic-powered elevators that would travel at over 100 kilometers per hour in this building. It was going to mix in 14,000 car park spaces, and it was going to have a helicopter landing pads enough for 120 helicopters. And not only was this building going to change the entire skyline of Chicago, but this building was going to change the lifestyle of those in Chicago as well. But it was never built. It was never built. Great intentions are good, and I think about the intentions that you and I have in life, but great intentions mean nothing when they don't come to fruition and when they aren't built upon. And from Paris to Tokyo to St. Petersburg in Russia, you could go and you could find out about buildings that were intended to be built that were never built. Skylines that should have been changed but were never changed. And lives that should have been touched by these places that were never touched, but they were buildings that were never built. They were models of innovation that were never accomplished. And I think about our lives, and in our lives, we weren't created to just have intentions. God didn't create us just to have good ideas and to be able to think about these things and to dream good dreams. No, God wanted us to build something with our lives. To build something with our lives. To be a part of something. To do something, to lead a family, to build a family, to lead a business, to be able to build that business, to be a part of serving God and build not only a spiritual life of spending time with Him and being in His Word and in prayer, but also to go beyond that and further than that and sacrifice ourselves to serve Him and to build something by way of our service for Him. That was God's intention for our life. We were born with this drive. You and I were born with this energy and this drive to build something, but there's one thing that God calls us to prioritize more than everything else. One thing that He wants us to build. One building that He wants us to focus on. We read it in verse number 1 of 2 Chronicles chapter 2, and it says here in verse 1, it says, "And Solomon determined to build an house for the name of the Lord." And Solomon determined to build an house for the name of the Lord. Solomon had this determination in verse 1 of chapter 2 here. And his determination was simply this: to build a house for the name of the Lord. To build it, a work for God. He resolved to do it. And there's a lot that Solomon could have resolved to do. We understand the wisdom that Solomon possessed. We understand the riches that Solomon possessed. Everything that he had at his fingertips that he could have used to do anything he wanted in life. But what does this verse tell us? It tells us that Solomon, he determined. And he didn't just determine to build anything of his life. No, he determined to build something for the name of the Lord. I think about your church, Faith Baptist Church, and your pastor and your staff and all of you as members, and the drive that you have to build something for the name of the Lord. The discipleship program that you guys have up and running that goes weekly, and the institute classes that are running, and no doubt the missions program that you guys are so heavily involved in. And I look at the fact that God is using Faith Baptist Church in such an incredible way to build something for his glory.